Hello and welcome to the Behavioral Science Technician Accelerated C156 Program Information Session. My name is Jennifer Donnelly. I am the Program Coordinator and Professor of two of the programs here at the college. I am the Coordinator and Professor of Behavioral Science Technician C156 program, as well as the Autism and Behavioral Science Postgraduate Program C405. For today's agenda, I will be doing a program overview as well as talking about placement experiences. I'll be going over program basics, administration requirements, success in the program, the coursework that you will need to complete, as well as BACB, the Verified Course Sequence Approval, and industry. So program overview. So the C156 program is designed for those who want to help to enter a helping profession as a frontline professional. Typically individuals who come into our program will leave the program and go to a helping profession. This leads to work in a variety of areas. Most of the work to start is typically in autism and developmental disabilities. And then from there, typically people will branch off and go into other programs and other roles, such as in mental health or acquired brain injury, that sort of area. So behavior science helps improve the lives of others through behavior change. So we look at changing the environment around the person in order to create behavior change. So it's really important to clarify that this program is not a counseling program. It is not a social work type program. It's not a talk therapy program. So this is specifically around applied behavior analysis, otherwise known as ABA, and looking at the applications of this powerful science in order to create behavior change with the populations that we serve. So there are often misconceptions about our program. Many may be familiar with behavior analysis from the popular television show Crime Scene Investigation, and a lot of people then think that this is what we do, where we, jet off and go around the world to, work on forensic crimes, when that's not the reality of what we do here. So here the program really is looking at using ABA to create behavior change, to increase adaptive skills and decrease maladaptive skills or maladaptive behaviors in individuals. This program will not lead to work into the field of CSI or forensic science. So the work done in CSI is not representative of the focus of our behavioral science programs. So within the program, we have a coursework component in which you will be taught the principles of behavior, and you will learn all about how to take those principles and apply those in a practical setting to create behavior change with humans. We look at socially significant behaviors that we want to change. So as I said earlier, behaviors that we're looking to increase and behaviors that we're looking to decrease, and we often do those simultaneously. So while you're in class, you will learn about those components, and then from there you will have the opportunity to go out on a field placement where you will gain different experiences. So there are 2 field placements that students will have. Both are 7 weeks in length. The college, so at George Brown, we will provide placement sites for the students. So students are not required to go find their own field placements. We actually do that for you. We've worked really closely with our agency providers to make sure that we have a good working relationship and that we have the best opportunities for our students. So we will provide students with placements, and typically we touch base with students prior to going out on placement to find out what your interests are, the population you're hoping to work with, and that sort of thing. But we are the one that will find the placement agency that you'll work with. Placement sites may include schools, both public and private school, ABA centers, mental health agencies, group homes, retirement homes, and so on. Again, the majority of our field placements are in the field of autism because that is the reality of the field, is where most people start off in the field is in autism, and then they branch out from there. We do have opportunities to do placement experiences with children, adolescents, and or adults. And the placement sites are primarily within the GTA. Now, having said that, when we talk about the GTA, we talk about as far west as Burlington, as far north as North York, as far east as Oshawa, and then within the city proper. We have lots of agencies that we work with. We have numerous students that we place every year. So the more flexible you are, and if you are able to travel, that opens up more opportunities for you. So given that we have so many students within our programs, we try to place students as close to where they live as possible. However, that's not always the reality. We're not always able to do that depending on the agencies and the spots that we have available. So there is a possibility that students may need to travel up to 2 hours one way on public transit to get to their placement. This doesn't often occur, but it is a possibility, so please be aware of that. Again, we work hard with our agency providers as well as with the students to get you a placement as close to your home as possible. So we often get asked if we are able to place outside of the GTA, and the answer is yes. We have had situations where, especially for the last placement, students may end up moving back to wherever they live outside the GTA and are hoping to get a field placement out that way. So maybe you live in Orangeville or you live in Barrie or in Kitchener and you're hoping to get a field placement out that way. We will work with you and try to find placements in those areas. We've done this many times before. We've also gone as far as Ottawa, so as well as Sudbury. So we can work with you to try to make that happen to give you the best opportunity as possible. So what does your placement look like? So the program offers a 7-week block placement. So you will have 2 of those within the period of time you're in your program. The 7-week block placements, you are out 4 days a week, so Tuesday through Friday. You will be out in the field at the agency doing agency-related activities. And then on Mondays, you are within the school at George Brown. You're at the Waterfront campus, and you would be participating in a field seminar as well as any other courses that you might have at that time, which typically you have one other course that runs at the time you go out on your placements. So when you are out on your placements, you'll attend and participate in job-related activities within your placement site. Our agencies are similar in some regards. In some ways, they're very different. Your experience at one might be very different than your experience at the other. Sometimes they're simply observational, where you get to observe behavioral principles and practice. Other times, they are more hands-on, where you have the opportunity to actually sit down with clients and start to implement some behavioral procedures with them. But again, that's specific to the agency and their preferences. So while on placement, you will essentially be applying and expanding upon what you have learned in class throughout the time that you are doing the coursework. So we're going to teach you about various principles and various procedures. And then when you get into the field, you'll be able to observe situations where applied behavior analysis is occurring and participate in data collection or preference assessments or doing different observations of the clients, lots of different activities, building materials, that sort of thing. Placements provide a valuable opportunity to gain professional skills as well. So not just looking at clinical skills, but also those interprofessional behaviors that our agency providers look for when they are hiring individuals to work at their agency. So to qualify for placement experiences, students must first complete and be cleared by Paramed. So Paramed is an agency that looks at the medical requirements and the police vulnerable sector check. So you would finish all of the Paramed requirements. You would work together with our pre-placement advisor, who currently, that is Suzette, and it might be someone else, but you would work together with them to make sure you have everything in place, including any medical documentation, vaccine requirements, any the vulnerable sector check, that sort of thing. And once you get all of that in place, she will clear you to then go to Paramed, where they will provide you with clearance. And then once we get clearance, we are able to send you out into the field. So looking at the program overview, so George Brown College has offered behavioral science programs since 2002. This accelerated one-year diploma program is unique in the GTA. So here at George Brown College, we are one of the only colleges that offer the C156 program. One of the other ones is at a college outside of the GTA. So C156 is unique to George Brown College. The courses are taught by highly experienced full-time and part-time faculty. The majority of full-time faculty and part-time are board-certified behavior analysts. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And many of them have worked in the field for quite a number of years, myself included, and some continue to work in the field, as well as many of our part-time faculty currently work in the field and are actually working at agencies where students are able to complete their field placements. Upon graduation, you'll be prepared to work with a variety of frontline field positions. So again, looking at the various types of positions out there. So working at ABA centers as an instructor therapist, that is the most common position people move to. Working in groups homes or vocational settings, working in developmental services, as well as school opportunities, sometimes private schools, shadowing individuals, or working as an educational assistant. That tends to be the frontline work graduates first obtain, and then from there, as you develop your clinical skills, you can then potentially move on to other positions at the same agencies or at other agencies. So looking at C156 program basics, so the credential is an Ontario College diploma. So upon graduation, you will have a diploma. And this program is delivered on a full-time basis at the college. So unfortunately, we do not offer this on a part-time basis, and we do not offer online for the program. For the most part, we are full-time. Well, we are entirely full-time program, and for the most part, we are on campus with some exceptions. So we do have some courses that are offered online, but the expectation is that students will be on campus. So it is an accelerated program, and it runs for 3 consecutive semesters. So it runs from September till the end of June. In terms of intake, we typically take about 44 domestic students and 8 international students each year. So in terms of C156 admission requirements, you need to have completed a 3 or 4 year Bachelor of Arts with a major in psychology or related discipline, or a Bachelor of Science in a related discipline. You need to have taken at least 1 psychology course, and we strongly recommend several psychology courses. Again, this is a very science-based program, so having familiarity with psychology, especially abnormal psychology, child developmental psychology, all of that will really help you as you move throughout the program. And having some understanding of B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning is also helpful. So in order to be successful in the program, what makes a successful candidate? So having some familiarity with individuals who have disabilities can help, but it's not required. We again work with a variety of populations. We work with individuals with various developmental disabilities, mental health challenges. We also work with individuals who are, receive acquired brain injury, or who want to work in the field of gerontology. Again, the main areas and the main job opportunities end up being in autism and developmental disabilities, but we are moving forward within this field in other sectors as well. We recommend you being familiar with technology. You'll be using management system like Excel and Word. Each week you will be in class approximately 18 hours per week, and it is a rather intensive course load. Again, very scientifically based. So it is expected that you will know how to review research and journal articles. So there is quite a lot of time spent not only in class, but outside of class, doing readings, completing assignments, and group work, that sort of thing. During your field placement blocks, you will have 1 day of classes. So typically you have 6 hours of class on the Monday, and then you have 4 placement days. So Tuesday through Friday, again, for about 7.5 hours each day. So it's a pretty intensive week. We recommend being able to spend as much time on your school caseload as possible and limit part-time work. We do appreciate that, people need to work. I myself worked all through doing schooling. However, for some people, it's a little bit much, so just being mindful of that. Having good time management and study skills will help you succeed. We offer a student success program for first-year students that is designed to increase success, and we have lots of resources here at the college to help you be successful. Faculty are here to help, so feel free to reach out, touch base with each of your professors, and build a good relationship with them. And you can also reach out to the program coordinator, which is me, should you need any other support or have any questions. So in terms of the coursework, as I mentioned, courses are primarily face-to-face, so in class at the college. Not always, especially over the past couple of years, we've had some changes given the pandemic and how things have been moving forward. So you will likely have some classes that are online, but the majority will be in class, face-to-face. We are at the Waterfront campus, so classes are taught at the Daphne Cockwell Center for Health Sciences. It is a beautiful campus. We're right on the water, so it's quite gorgeous. We're very fortunate to be located here. Each semester is broken into blocks of classroom study, followed by placement blocks. So your coursework, every class is a little bit different. However, your coursework typically includes individual assignments, group assignments. There is group work, so you need to be able to work closely with other classmates. There's written work component, presentations, again, an aspect that is very important in our field. So making sure that you're okay with doing presentations. Everybody gets nervous about presenting, but it is a requirement of our program and many of the courses. And you are responsible for completing clinical work as well as successfully completing exams. So in terms of the semesters, what it looks like. So because this is an accelerated program, we typically call your first semester your second semester. So it's technically the second semester because it's an accelerated program. But you are beginning, and it is your first semester, but you're going right into the second semester of the program. So you would start off in September, and you would have 5 courses in total. So 4 of them run at the same time. So you will have behavioral theory, ethics and professionalism, and research design. So those would run for the entire 14 weeks starting in September. You then have Introduction to Applied Behavior Analysis. This is a 7-week course. And then once you finish that 7-week course, you would move into behavioral assessment, and that is for the second 7 weeks. So in total, you are doing 4 courses at a time. Then starting in the winter semester in January, you would begin your field placement and field seminar. So again, you would be out on placement Tuesday through Friday, and on Mondays you would be at the college in your field seminar. At the same time, you would be doing your acquisition strategies course. So that also would run on Mondays for 3 hours. So Mondays, you would have a total of 6 hours of courses, and then you're in the field Tuesday through Friday. On average, the hours you're out in the field are about 7.5 hours each day, but that is specific to the agency that you're attending your placement with. That is for the first 7 weeks. Then your second 7 weeks, here we have second 7, you are continuing your acquisition strategies class. So in total, this is a 14-week class. And you would be finished your field placement and seminar. Then the second 7 weeks, which typically starts the first week of March, not always, but usually. And then you would be doing the other 4 classes. So you would have acquisition strategies, reduction strategies, group-based interventions, and special populations. Then your spring semester, which runs in May and June, this is 7 weeks in total. So you would be continuing this course, which you already started back here, group-based interventions. Again, this is a 14-week class. So you'll start the first 7 in the winter semester, and then you continue the last 7 weeks in the spring. And then you would go out on your second field placement. So you would be out again in the field Tuesday through Friday, and in the college on Mondays for your seminar, which is 3 hours, as well as finishing off your group-based interventions course, which is also 3 hours. And then you would be graduating at the end of June. Now, typically, given the time frame, students are not able to convocate in June of that year as you're still finishing up the program, and typically students convocate the following June. So you come back for convocation. However, you would officially graduate in June, provided you're successful across the program. and can receive your diploma at that time. So one of the other benefits of doing a program at George Brown College is that we meet the coursework requirement to become a board certified assistant behavior analyst, so BCABA. So the BACB, which is the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, this is a designation that many individuals want to acquire to work in our field, and it really gives a basic the groundwork, and it gives the base, says that you have the basic requirements to be working in the field. So we are verified course sequence approved. So the Association for Behavior Analysis International has verified the following courses toward the coursework requirements for eligibility to take the board certified behavior analyst, or just the BCABA exam. We don't meet the requirements for the BCBA, just the BCABA. So applicants will need to meet further additional requirements before they can be deemed eligible to take the examination. So we are able to meet the coursework requirement. There are other requirements such as the field work. However, we cannot meet that requirement. We don't qualify to do that at the college for this specific program. For more information on the BACB, we've provided the websites here. So looking at the industry, graduates will be eligible to work in frontline positions implementing behavioral programs. Behavioral programs are typically designed by graduates with either a bachelor or master's degree. And graduates may work in autism therapy, children's treatment centers, residential or vocational services, public and private schools. George Brown students are generally perceived by placement partners, employers, as being well prepared to work in the field. Many of our students often get hired right after they complete their placement. So we have a lot of success with students moving right from their field placement into the field at the agency in which they completed their placements. So that wraps up our information session. Should you have any further questions, you can contact me at jdonnell@georgebrown.ca. And I hope you found this valuable, and thank you for joining this session. Have a great day.